U-Haul, the truck company that's synonymous with truck rentals for the do-it-yourself movers. You've probably heard about the company, as they are the pioneers of the moving industry. Now, this is a company with quite an interesting story. From scandals, lawsuits, murder, family drama, and even the suicide of its founder, this company has seen it all. Who would have thought a truck rental company would have such a mess attached to it, right? Despite all of this drama within the company and the founding family, U-Haul has successfully dominated the industry. No competitors are even close to getting the brand recognition U-Haul has built up. It holds over 50% of the total truck rental market shares and brings in billions of dollars in revenue. That's what you call an empire. In today's video, we will look at the controversial history of U-Haul and its absolute domination in the truck rental industry. Let's get into it. But before we talk about all the messy history and drama, let's talk about how it was started. U-Haul is the tale of a necessity turned into a business. Leonard Schoen co-founded U-Haul with his wife, Anna Mary Carty, in 1945. Leonard was discharged from the Navy in 1945 at the age of 29. The couple decided to move to Oregon from California. They soon discovered how difficult it was to move their stuff or rent a trailer to get it to Oregon. Then the thought clicked. Rental trucks could be a huge business. After World War II was over, the economy started to get better. People were moving to areas with better facilities, but the infrastructure was lacking and moving was a dreadful task, to say the least. The two saw potential there and decided to open a truck rental business. They named it U-Haul. The company invested $5,000 from their savings into the business. They also painted their trailers in a bright orange color to make them more recognizable to their customers. I guess the idea was to turn their business into a recognizable brand to draw attention. The initial price was $2 per day, and their first location was in Los Angeles, California. They built their rental trailers by themselves. Teaming up with gas stations to let people know about their rental service was Leonard's approach in the early days. In turn, he gave the gas station owners a commission. Yeah, so he basically franchised the gas station owners as his agents. A clever move on his part, I must say. With the gas stations as agents, the business was booming. Within 6 months of operation, they had 4 locations across the coast of California and Oregon and had 30 trailers. The demand was clearly there, but operating the business was not so easy. They were making the trailers by themselves, and, well, they were no experts. The quality could have been better, and they were constantly breaking down. Because of this, they ended up spending all the profits they were making from their business on repairing the trailers. But the couple was determined to make this business work, as the limitless potential would be life-changing. They sold their home and moved in with Anna's parents. Leonard acquired credit from the local lumber yard to improve the trailers, and also used his Navy contacts to get the leftover steel from the war, which was used on his trailers. The hard work, sacrifices, and improvements they made for their business finally paid off, and in just 5 years, their business spread across the entire United States and even parts of Canada. By 1955, there were more than 15,000 U-Haul trailers throughout the country and increased by the week. The couple had 6 children, and they are a crucial part of the U-Haul story. Like most parents, Anna Mary and Leonard wanted the children to look after their family business. Let's just say having the kids that much involved in the business didn't turn out to be the best idea for the business or for the family. All the scandals and drama stemmed here. Anna Mary passed away in 1957 at the age of 34. As she co-founded the business, she held 50% of the company. After her death, the 50% stake was divided equally among her 6 children. Leonard remarried and had 5 more children with his second wife. All of his children were given some share of the company, to the point where Leonard only had 2% of the share in the company. But the torch had to be passed one day, right? Right. Eventually, the children became more involved in the business as they grew up. They took on important manager roles and positions. This actually would have worked if everyone didn't have their own idea on how they all wanted to run the business. Leonard could not have imagined what was coming for his family and business. The family was divided into 2 sides. Leonard and his oldest sons, Sam and Mike, were on one side, while his other sons, Joe and Mark, were on the other. The situation got so bad that reports of physical beatdowns occurred during the board meetings. You see, the father and the oldest son's duo wanted to diversify the business, but the other 2 wanted to focus on the company's core business. Leonard was still somewhat in charge of the business, so he executed his diversification plan. In the mid-80s, the company rented everything from dance floors to motorhomes, hell, even jet skis.
Now U-Haul centers rent almost everything for home,
Floor care,
work,
plumbing,
and play.
VCRs and movies.
Now U-Haul even rents motorhomes, camping trailers, and boats. Perfect for my fishing trip.
Turns out Joe and Mark were right after all. Diversification turned out to be a terrible idea for the company. It cost them financially. The business went from earning a net profit of $42 million in 1985 to just $9.2 million in 1986. It also put the company $600 million in debt, and they ended up laying off tons of employees. Now, this is where things start to get interesting. Well, I guess I should say more interesting. Seeing the situation of the company, Joe and Mark returned to the company with the motive to kick their father out of the company. The duo had already once left the company in 1979. In 1986, the pair forced their father to step down as the CEO. Dad agreed on one condition. Sam, his oldest son, would be the CEO. The brothers agreed, but they had something else in mind. They had no plan of letting Sam run the company. They made his life so miserable and the environment so difficult to work in that Sam quit in just a few weeks. Leonard was not about to just give up the business he built without a fight. Dad, along with Sam, hatched a plan for a takeover. When Joe and Mark heard about this plan, they terminated their dad's $400,000 a year lifetime contract. This meant any retirement and benefits that Dad would get were gone along with his salary. All the boundaries were being crossed, almost as if they had forgotten that they were a family. The family decided to take the matter to the court, and while this was going on, things spiraled even more out of control. On the night of August 6, 1990, Sam's wife was murdered in cold blood. Leonard publicly blamed Joe and Mark for the murder of his daughter-in-law. No evidence ever suggested the brothers' involvement in the murder of their sister-in-law. A person without connection to Joe or Mark was convicted of the murder in 1994. The case was closed as a burglary gone wrong, but Leonard was still unconvinced. This pushed the family even further apart. The family's feud became so public that it began to affect the company. The fight for the company continued, becoming messier by the day, to the point where the lawyer representing Leonard and Sam was threatened. His wife was receiving disturbing calls, their dog was poisoned, and their house was set on fire. Joe and Mark denied any wrongdoings. All morals had gone out the window. All this drama and stress was too much for Leonard. At this point, he'd lost everything. Joe and Mark fully controlled the business and are still running the company. His employment and retirement were gone. He lived and died in a small house alone. Leonard Samuel Schoen took his own life on October 4th, 1999. He couldn't take it. Surprisingly, all this messy family feuding had little to no effect on the business in the long run. Oftentimes, we see these family dramas as the end of the business as they bring instability. The family kept the personal battle and the business quite separate. Because of that, the business is still thriving to this day, to the point where it dominates its industry. U-Haul has now become synonymous with rental trucks for the whole do-it-yourself mover thing. I would even go as far as to say it's the company that first comes to mind anytime you think about moving. At least, it's what comes to my mind. You might know U-Haul, but have you ever heard of Americo? You probably haven't. It's the parent company of U-Haul. Americo is actually an insurance company. It's not a company that creates a buzz on Wall Street, nor is it a company which is constantly in controversy. But by the looks of it, they're doing quite well for themselves. U-Haul Holding Company has a market capitalization of $10.02 billion. So why has U-Haul been so successful? As I mentioned before, the company is still run by Joe and Mark. Joe has remained the CEO of the company since they took over. This seems to be a major reason behind the company's success. The company has remained within the control of the family since its inception. Even today, the family owns more than half of the company's stock, which means all the major decisions for the company are taken by the family themselves. Along with this, U-Haul sort of pioneered the rental truck business, and with that, had the first mover advantage. It's not like they don't have any competitors. They do, but they're way ahead of them. For instance, Penske is considered one of the company's major rivals, but U-Haul has nearly 10 times the number of rental truck locations as Penske. The company is also not big on advertising. Their trucks and trailers act as moving billboards. You literally can't miss a U-Haul truck when you see it. The prices of the rentals are also based on local demand. The company maintains a low profile and does not cater much to the investment community. It's also the reason why it does not create a buzz on Wall Street like other companies. According to Joe, that's because they'd rather reinvest in the business and cater to their customers than their investors. It looks like this is the reason behind their success and huge market penetration. With U-Haul renting trucks and trailers in more than 23,000 US locations, it's believed that U-Haul holds more than 50% of the truck rental market share. The U-Haul storage operation has also grown impressively over the past decade, with a growth of 16.5%. The company's net income in 2022 was $1.1 billion, nearly double what it earned in 2021. Besides extensively investing and reinvesting in the business, their customer service also seems to be top-notch. The company provides around-the-clock service to its customers. This allows the customers to pick up, pay, and return their rentals anytime through their phones. The company is also well-versed in social media. The queries and complaints are responded to within 30 minutes of them being posted. About 70% of the U-Haul's issues are resolved within half an hour. The customers have responded quite well to this initiative from their side. But if you think this is great, wait till you hear this. The company's CEO, Joe, has made his phone number public since 2008.
5 years ago, you shocked everyone by making your cell phone number public. And you said that was because you wanted to deal with your customers directly and you wanted to handle your problems personally.
According to him, doing so allows him to understand his customers better and know what they want. Talk about good customer service. Because of these factors, U-Haul has remained the undisputed king in the truck rental and do-it-yourself mover industry. So much so that the state's growth can be determined by the movement of U-Haul in that particular state. Interesting, right? Because of this reason, U-Haul prepares its own annual growth index. So basically, how this works is the areas that see an increase in one-way rental service are considered the top growth states. This means that people are leaving other states to move to these particular states for various reasons. This may be due to high cost of living, high taxes, or lack of facilities. As per their annual growth index 2022, Texas is the #1 growth state, meaning more and more people are moving to Texas from various other states.
In another sign of people moving into Texas, once again, the Lone Star State topped U-Haul's list of migration. The company tracks one-way truck rentals going state.
This may be because of the low tax rates and low cost of living. Throughout the years, U-Haul has persisted through all the ups and downs. The turmoils it has faced in the past have not deterred the company. Considering how stable the company seems financially and managerially, it looks like it will dominate the rental industry for a long time. For now, there are no competitors that can dethrone U-Haul. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope to see you out here next week. Intellectual Digest out.